Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is August 15, 2022. Time is now 7 o'clock p.m. Before we start the City Council meeting, we're going to have a public hearing on ordinance number 1081, which concerns a tax waiver for 1828 Pulaski Highway. Madam Secretary, can you please read a header into the record?
An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre Grace City Charter, to waive a portion of property taxes for property owned by Dorothy Lewis with tax ID number 06-003214.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. So this is a public hearing for ordinance number 1081. Is anybody in the audience here this evening to speak on ordinance 1081? Okay. Are there any comments among the council members regarding ordinance 1081? Okay, with no comments from the public, no comments from the council, I now declare the public hearing on ordinance 1081 to be closed. The time is now 7:02. Okay, we now begin our council meeting of the mayor and the city council. Again, this is the August 15, 2022 council meeting. The time is now 7:02 p.m. I will call the roll. Council President Ringsacker.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Shanegas.
Here.
All council members are present and accounted for. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could ask everyone to kindly remain standing. It's my pleasure to call upon Reverend Mary Whitehead of the Spearhead Global Outreach. Good evening, and thank you so much for being here with us this evening. How are you?
It's always a blessing. It is. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Father God, we thank you for the grace that is upon this city of Havre Grace. We thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that you have placed upon this city. As the new school year approaches, it's always on my heart to pray this time of year. We pray for your love and your peace and your protection for the children, for the teachers, the staff and the volunteers and the bus drivers. Thank you, Lord. We ask that you continue to bless Havre Grace and those who live, work, and attend activities here. Please keep it safe and bring prosperity. Tonight we pray for our mayor and council for this wonderful city. Lord, may your presence and your direction lead this council meeting. Bless the mayor and council as they make good decisions. In the name of Jesus, we do pray. I speak a blessing upon this meeting and upon our leaders. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. Amen.
Amen. Reverend Mary, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to see you here in the chambers.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 5, which is the approval of the minutes. Item A will be the City Council meeting minutes of August 1st, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Council President Ringsacker, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments on the council meeting minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes of August 1st, 2022 are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, City Council work session minutes from August 8th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Shenanigans. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council work session minutes of August 8th, 2022 are approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. We're going to go to item 6, comments from citizens. This is the part of this evening's agenda. If you are here to speak on an item that is on the City Council agenda, or if you're here to speak on any other matter of city business, this is the time to do so. Normally what I'll do is if anybody pre-filled out a form, I will call on those citizens first. After that, I will then call on the audience at large. I do have one form filled out, and that is regarding the Caribbean Music Fest for Sunday 9/4, Powell Entertainment. Yep, please step forward. Thank you. Welcome to the City Council meeting. May we please have your name and address for the record?
It is Shirlette Henderson, 2225 Argonne Drive, Havre, Grace, Maryland, 21078.
Welcome.
Okay, before I start, I'm so nervous. I never did this before. But anyway, I'm Shirlette Henderson. I've been living in the Fields of Rockland for 8 years. I'm coming here tonight because we contacted the city of Aberdeen over a year ago to bring a Caribbean music fest to the community. And we're sponsoring 5013 organizations every year. So each year we pick 2 organizations to give back and also to bring awareness to the community. Somehow they got the dates mixed up. We okay for the 3rd, but for the 4th, they got a lot of dates mixed up. And my husband is from the Caribbean, St. John's, Virgin Islands, so he's bringing a lot of bands over, and we booked a lot of their airplanes and hotels in the community and all. And we have a lot of different businesses coming from Harford County, Cecil County, PG County, and we need a place to have it on that Sunday from 2 to 8. So I'm here asking if we could bring the event to the community. Since I'm a resident, I would like to give back. We also willing to pay any cost, like it costs for we would probably need maybe 2 police officers to help us with security, even though we do have our own off-site security and all.
Thank you. Any questions from council members? Council President?
So I'm looking online. I'm trying to figure out, if I may, you said you sponsor 2 foundations or 501c3s throughout the year?
Right, so the goal of it is that we was going to have it at Aberdeen Festival Park. So what we do, we pick 2 organizations every 3, but they have to be a 5013C. We sponsor them. So we give back to that donation after we take care of our cost of the event. We make no money off of it. It goes strictly back to them 5031Cs. That's what we want to do as a nonprofit, to give back to the communities. And the reason why we picked these 2 is because they mentor kids, and it's also to help with mental health services.
Well, my concerns are multiple, just because there's such a short lead up. We don't normally do it this way. So just in the investigation of these, the foundations, the Kirkley Foundation.
And the one day,
I
and
found them
also
online, but they had very minimal reporting on their 501c3, stuff like that. So I'm wondering, I don't know. I have a lot of questions, but
I got them from
concern
recommendations.
our concern is, for me anyways, is the cost to the citizens of Havre, Grace, to have an event like that where it doesn't actually benefit this community.
Right.
And that's one of my major concerns. You offer to pay for the police officers. I mean, that's one thing.
Well, I offer to give back
But-
to the city and pay for any costs and all, because we can't, I don't want to disappoint the hotels in Havre Grace. I had a meeting with them last week, and I already did the deposits, and we already did pay for the plane tickets to bring the Caribbean bands here, to bring something different to the community. So I was willing to pay the cost, for whatever cost it costs to have it from 2 to 8.
What's the precedence on that? I don't even know.
What's that?
What's the precedence on that? I don't even know. See, that's one of the problems with the short lead up, because it's before the next meeting to even have it, so we couldn't even postpone it to talk and work on.
Right, and I understand that. The only reason why is that we just found out 2 weeks ago that it was discrepancy was September the 4th. I just found it out. If I would have known it like 3 months ago, of course I would have looked for another place. So Bambi told me to put in an application and come here and speak with y'all and just try.
I mean, I don't want to come off like I'm against it, because believe me, I'm so excited about eating some of
Right.
the fish cakes, which reminds me of when we went down to St. Lucia. But I love the music. I love having the events, but again, I'm concerned with the short lead up to it and having the overtime costs and stuff associated. And I don't know if the city attorney could comment on that.
But we willing to pay the overtime cost, what it would
That's
cost.
what I'm asking, if
Okay,
I may.
I'm sorry.
April? Or Steve, do you know how we can process with that? Or should I wait until under the question for the event itself?
I'm sorry, I need to understand your question. You wanted,
So she's offering to pay for the event, and that's one of the major concerns we have, is the short lead up and the costs to DPW and the police with it not actually benefiting the community here. That's what I'm concerned about.
well, I think if, she's offering to pay the costs, what the city's out-of-pocket would be, which typically is covered by the city, that would be alleviate one concern. But then, of course, I don't know that this shows that it's a 501c3. What I'm looking at, I haven't seen the whole thing. I guess one time at a,
I mean, it reads as if it were submitted by a 501. That's-
yeah.
Well, what I asked them to do was give me, proof of their 501c from their IRS letters. And the same thing when I called the American Heart Foundation, they said that they'll give us, letters and all to prove, because I want to make sure that that's what it's going to.
Understood. I mean, it's up to the council if they're comfortable doing it. I think allowing them to pay for it would alleviate some of the concern up front, and then, going forward, it can be some more investigation on the particular charity at issue. Because I know we haven't had a lot. Most of the ones that apply, we are familiar with, so it's not typical that we have to go and do any legwork on it.
Trying to bring this information up. I guess we'll discuss that under the event application then. But I thank you so much for the comments. I don't want you to think that I'm just,
Oh, yeah, I understand.
no,
I understand.
we have questions, we have a community to answer to, so.
Right. Yeah, I just want to, because if we don't find a place, we lose the whole 12,000. We called American Airlines, seeing what we can do, but they said there's nothing we can do because it's all booked.
Well, listen, next time you just come here first and forget about Aberdeen.
I know, but see, I didn't know. I didn't know until I called. And matter of fact, the lady she felt so bad at the city of Aberdeen. She said, "Hey, do you know Bambi?" And I said no, and she directed me here. But I wish I would have known, a whole year ago. But now I know. So, thank y'all for the time to listen.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, I think you got a couple.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes, excuse me,
Excuse me.
I have a question. So I'm looking at the outline of what areas are going to be closed. They're in red.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there's a thick red line and then there's a thin red line. And we have made a decision along with volunteers at the lighthouse, that the lighthouse grounds would always be open. There wouldn't be.
Yeah, that's a mistake. It's going to be open.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to be sure, because they're both red lines, but there is one that I can tell is.
Right, no, that's
okay.
definitely going to all
right.
be open.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I have a question for you, too.
Sure.
Was the Star Center presented as an option?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and that didn't suit your needs, I take it?
No.
Okay.
Because we wanted to be like, at Aberdeen Festival Park, she asked us to come up here and look, because it's kind of sort of like, and we like, because it's near the water, and it's Caribbean.
Oh, I don't
so
blame
make
you.
the like, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are still under item 6 of comments from citizens. That was the only pre-filled out form I had. Does any member of this audience wish to speak on any topic? Sir. Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting. May we have your name and address for the record?
Evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, fellow escapees from Michigan. My name is Kirk Smith. I live at 840 Otsego, Havre, Grace, Maryland, 21078. I have a couple of just generic things. I didn't really write anything out tonight. It's not going to be long and drawn. I'd like to thank the city for sponsoring the infomercial on the newest public-private coastal greenway that you guys have been working on over by Giles and Chesapeake Drive. It's very informative, and despite all the sidebars that were going around where I was sitting, I see that there's a lot of tremendous effort that the city is doing to bring greenways around the entire city, and I'd just like to say thank you very much. I have a interrogative or a request on 12 and 13A, the legislative. We briefly covered or touched on a couple city council meetings ago that one of the things that we wanted in the city was sustainable power, regenerative power. And I remember saying something to Council President Ringsacher where I really liked it that he added wind power in there. And because right now in Hartford County, we're not allowed to have wind power on our homes or on our businesses or with any lines that attach to any structure on our property. And I would request that the council perhaps consider to visit that statute with our Hartford County representatives and our state representatives so that that can be fixed for small wind turbine generators. Stuff that actually goes with the new solar panel grids and actually can be plugged right into the 24-volt DC system for supplying power back. The sun does not shine 24 hours a day, but as it goes down, it generates pressure fronts. Those pressure fronts drive wind turbines. Those wind turbines can provide power to charge up your batteries while the sun's down and while the grid's pulling on your power. Lastly, this sounds like a really fun event, doesn't it? I'd like to attend. We're going to be in town, so I know it's short notice, but that does sound like a real fun event. So I'm sure you guys are individually exceptional, and together you're a great group. So I'm sure you guys can work something out. Do some magic, maybe some voodoo, something. Anyways, that's all I have tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak this evening? Any comments from the council members? Okay, without any further comments, we will move on to item number 7. Item number 7 is going to be appointments. We do have an appointment this evening to the Street Traffic and Safety Advisory Board, and I will hand this off to the council liaison to that board, and that's going to be Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I make a motion to appoint Sue Nappy to the Street and Traffic Safety Advisory Board.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Martin, for the appointment of Ms. Sue Nappy to the Street Traffic and Safety Advisory Board. Questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer.
So I've known Sue for several years. We worked together for CCOM. She's always been a very detail-oriented, proactive, wonderful resource. In her retirement, she's not retired. She's become even more of a resource within the community, and she's looking for ways to continue that and to keep active within the community. She reached out to me, and I told her one of the things that we need is somebody else on the Street and Traffic Safety Committee. It'd be great to have somebody from the Bully Rock area to be on the committee, and she volunteered for it. So I want to strongly encourage you all to vote for her, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilmember Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The appointment of Ms. Sue Nappy to the Street and Traffic Safety Advisory Board is approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Council. We're going to go to item 8, which is oath of office. And since Ms. Nappy is first time on the commission, I'll have to ask you to come down forward and I will swear you in. You ready? Okay. It's going to be very detailed and complicated, so just pay attention. So I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand, please. I'm going to say the word I. After I say the word I, please repeat the word I, but also say your name. Got me? Okay. I
I, Sue Nappy,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will fulfill
that I will fulfill
the requirement
the requirement
of the office I'm about to assume,
of the office I'm about to assume,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful,
and bear true allegiance
bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
support the Constitution,
support the Constitution,
laws thereof,
laws thereof,
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully,
and impartially,
partially,
without fear
without fear
of favor or prejudice,
of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Street and Traffic Safety Advisory Board
as a member of the Street and Traffic Safety Advisory Board,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. All four people that serve on commissions, I'd like to give a flag to the city. Appreciate it. Sue, thank you so much. Can I get a picture with you? Excellent. Thank you again for serving Savage. Thank you. We're going to go to item number 9, recognitions. This evening, we have no recognitions. Item 10, proclamations. There are no proclamations this evening, so we'll go to item 11 on the agenda, which is going to be presentations. And this evening, we do have one presentation, and that is the update and report from the Independence Day Commission. Good evening and welcome, Independence Day Commission.
Hello. Here we go. Okay.
Cool.
So,
The floor is yours.
Thank you, members of the council, and staff, and public. For those of you that don't know, I'm Christy Silverstein. I am the chairman or chairperson, along with Taryn Martin of the Havre Grace Independence Day Commission. We just had a wonderful parade. I think you guys, we heard a lot that it was the best yet. What do y'all think? Okay. We're going to keep topping this, but it's getting harder and harder. I wanted to just make sure that everyone knows the other members of our commission who couldn't be here tonight. Nikki Fournier, who's been with us since the commission started, as has, that's the only one. That's it, you and I. And then we have Steve Gamatoria Jr., Mike Bracknell, and Christina Bracknell, and then our wonderful liaison, Carolyn, over there representing in the red, white, and blue. So I just wanted to introduce you. Thank you guys for everything you do, and the city for all the support that we get. And Taryn's going to go on.
Okay, so this is our annual recap of our festivities as requested by the city. We celebrated this year on Sunday, July the 3rd, and we had 4 events, the parade, the concert at Hutchins Park, the concert at Concord Point Park, and of course, the fireworks. So we're going to kind of do a brief overview of each of those events and how it went from our standpoint. The parade was our largest one to date that we have been in charge of. We had 120 entries, and that included 25 musical entries, which is kind of unheard of in the area, and we're very proud of that. We had 10 vendors along the street. We had 35 volunteers, 6 judges. We had countless city staff, DPW workers, and police officers helping us make it happen. And the parade was live streamed and is still available on the City of Havre de Grace YouTube page. And we're quite proud to announce that it has reached over 5,000 views. So we've had people watching it during the day. We have people who used to live in Havre de Grace who are tuning in from wherever they are now. And it still stays on that site, and a lot of people come back to it and get a chance to see it. So parade-wise, we thought it was a successful day. Here are a few highlights that some of you may recognize. We had, like I said, there's 25 musical entries. We had 8 out of 10 high school marching bands, which is pretty phenomenal. Vulcan.
Does one of those musical entries include Al Petaroff?
Yeah, Al was our esteemed Grand Marshal, and we were very proud to honor him and the Cat Club this year. I know he did do a little singing as well, but no, he's not in that count, so he was like a bonus musical entry. So we were really thrilled with the way the parade went, and thanks to the city and to all of our volunteers who make that happen. As you can understand, it's quite an undertaking. We spend all year working on it, so it went pretty awesome this year. Good. Next, we had the concert at Hutchins Park. The band this year was Love Seed Mama Jump from Dewey Beach, and there are approximately 700 guests who visited that night. The concert did have 3 food trucks and a beer and wine truck. That concert may be undergoing some revisions in the years to come. Still a very successful event, but just we may need to, it was our first year having a different person chair that event. So there are just some little speed bumps that we're going to work through. However, very successful was the concert at Concord Point Park. This is technically our 3rd year having the Maryland Military Band there, but it's only like the 2nd year they've got to perform their whole set because we had rain one of the years. Maryland Military Band played an hour and a half's worth of patriotic and popular tunes. It was a huge crowd at Concord Point Park. We had 8 food trucks, the best seat to the fireworks, and it was just a phenomenal event to kind of finish up the evening. The fireworks were incredible this year, and all the thanks to that goes to Director of Administration, Mr. Steve Gamatoria, who coordinates all that, who hand-selected all the fireworks, which ones we got, which ones were the best, all that coordination, and of course our major sponsor, Vulcan Materials Company, who handled the barge and all that. But it was a phenomenal show, rave reviews all around, and we're still hearing a lot of positive feedback from that. So to make all of this big day happen, like I said, it takes a year's worth of planning. It takes very many paid city staff members, and it takes a lot of volunteers. We had employed over 45 volunteers this year. Jobs include the 6 a.m. crew who starts setting up all the parade lineup signs, people directing traffic, people manning hospitality tents, marshaling along the parade route, carrying our sponsor banners, helping with the sponsor reception, going into cleaning up all of the parade infrastructure, and then moving on to our concerts. So there is a ton of work that goes into it, and we're always looking for more volunteers. So if you've always thought you want to be part of it, there's a space for you. We start you out easy and then graduate you in our program. We are also very proud this year to continue to grow our sponsor program with the Independence Day Commission. When we started 6 years ago, we didn't have any really, no firm sponsors. So we have over 20 sponsors this year, all the way from $250, $500 sponsors, all the way up to over $5,000. So the support from our local businesses and community has been amazing, and we are very proud to represent that. So how do we get to this point? It takes a lot of work. It also takes an awful lot of money. And we are a hardworking commission that works all year long to raise the funds needed to produce the celebration. When we came to you 6 years ago, we had no money to our commission's name, none independently. And so we've been very proud to have worked really hard to now be self-sustaining. We hope that continues, but we may have to work on some things this year. So our fundraising events throughout the year traditionally are the Defenders Day celebration, where we usually run the beer and wine truck. That was canceled this year, so we lost a little revenue there. This year's carnival did raise over $20,000. Our sponsorship program has raised over $20,000. That's for this year alone. Hutchins Park concert, a little lower than normal this year, but we have some plans for that. And then our personal donations through what we call the 21078 letter that goes out after the celebration. At this point, we've already raised $5,000 to date from that letter. And those are our best donations, because those are small checks from lots of individuals who are just saying, we support what you're doing and we want to be part of it. Later on this year, we expect to sell some Oyster Feast tickets and benefit from the city's partnership with that. And then we'll be coming to you for the Holiday Tree Jubilee the first week in December. So that kind of rounds out our fundraising events for the year. Outlook for next year is we're going to do it again. We will be coming before the council with our event applications much later, January, February, March, something like that. But put on your calendars, 4th of July this year will be July 2nd, 2023, which will be on a Sunday. And as I said, we are always looking for new entries for the parade, new ideas for the parade or for any of our activities, new sponsors, and lots of volunteers. So that is our report. Ms. Silverstein, anything to add?
Nope.
Well-
Actually, yes. We did have a very generous benefactor this year who provided breakfast for the DPW crew about 2 weeks, was it, after our event, which happened to hit the same week we had that horrible storm. So, and not only did they clean up and make this place beautiful after the parade, the day after that storm, you couldn't even tell the streets had been, full of leaves. So we're also very thankful to the DPW crew, but also to that person who provided it selfully.
Agreed.
And we Thank you very much for the very detailed report on the event, as well as the revenue events. To explain to the public that the Independence Day event of the first weekend of July, it doesn't happen just once a year. It's an all-year process that takes place, mostly for fundraising for organization. So we thank you and your very, very small crew of people for pulling off such an amazing event that seems to get better and better every year. Any comments from council? Council President?
I get to go first. I saw a rash of hands up on that side.
Yeah. He doesn't look this way.
I want to say congratulations. You guys knocked it out of the park. That's my channeling Dave Glenn with a baseball reference. Knocked it out of the park. But really, you guys did a great job. As the mayor knows, I love a parade. I got to be in it twice again, which is awesome. Just, you guys are amazing. Keep up the good work. We thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. Absolutely not. So thank you.
Councilman Robertson.
Do you have any suspicion of how many total visitors we had? I mean, it had to be in the tens of thousands, right?
Yes, more than that, we think. So Lori O has told me that in the future, we'll be able to use those people counters, that we will have an idea. But do we go out and count? No, too busy. But it had to be thousands. I would say that the parade route this year was deeper and fuller than it's ever been. As you go down, it was 5 to 6 people deep the whole way from Warren to Commerce. So to me, it was an indicator. It was a big crowd.
Well, I also just want to add, as Council President was saying, I mean, thank you. Y'all bear the burden of that entire event. So, kudos and thank you for making us shine. And the best Independence Day celebration north of Baltimore. Yeah.
Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to thank you for
Microphone.
I too want to thank you for all the hard work that you do, and we didn't really talk too much about the carnival, but that's a lot of work, and it also requires many, many volunteers to take tickets, to help control the lines, DPW, and also the police department for security, and just making sure that things go smoothly. The other thing that I really appreciate about the presentation is the transparency in terms of the amount of money that's collected or raised at each of these events and how it's being put to use, because I think it's really important to not only understand from the public's perspective that's this is pretty much self-supporting, but how it's become that way over the years, and the amount of work that it takes and the number of events that it takes to achieve that goal. So I'm very proud to be part of the commission and your liaison, and I just really want to truly thank you again for all your hard work. It shows every year, and I know the public appreciates it. Thanks.
Councilmember Shenanigans.
I just want to say thank you so very much for keeping the spirit of independence alive in Havre de Grace year-round. The Tree Jubilee is an amazing event to attend. It not only, sparks the spirit of Christmas, but it keeps that spirit of independence going. So thanks again for having that event. It's a wonderful tradition, and I look forward to participating and attending again. Thank you.
Any other questions? Before you, again, I want to thank both of you for coming here this evening and giving the report to council and to the administration. It is without a doubt the biggest event that the city holds every year. The tradition goes all the way back to the late 1800s. And as the tradition has always been there, sometimes the process and the means to the end sometimes changes to get that end result. As we've seen over the last 10 years with the Independence Day Commission, since this administration has taken over, we have now, the city has now had a line item in our budget to provide for the fireworks, which has taken the burden off of fundraising for that aspect. Moving forward, I mean, what your commission does and how the city assists seems to work for now, with the carnival and the Tree Jubilee and the weather-dependent Defenders Day weekend that you didn't have this year, but which was probably about a $10,000 revenue in beer and wine sales at the event. Private donations. I know sometimes you get a $25 check. I know sometimes you get a $2,500 check. I mean, the Independence Day Commission means a lot to some people in the city, and it should. But we look forward to having talks with the commission to seeing what your needs are. We'll have this talk soon with the administration. And whether we sustain the status quo or if there's different ways of looking at how we move forward to carry out tradition. Because there's one thing I can promise is that we will have the tradition of the Independence Day Parade, but we always have to be mindful of those who dedicate, in this case, their lives to make sure that this tradition is carried forward. So we thank you both and the members of your commission for everything that you've done to provide such a memorable weekend for the families of not just Havre de Grace, but of Hartford County.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for saying that, because I do want to say it is becoming more and more difficult for us to sustain. When we started with only 6 members, we thought we would grow easily to more commission members, and we have found that to be quite difficult. So we've had some people join, but people quit. It's a difficult commission to be a member of, but at this point, with only 6 of us running it, it's a heavy burden. So we are hoping that our fundraising stays and those kind of things, but there may be a time when we do have to look at changes because between the 2 of us, we're not sure how much we can sustain. So thank you for opening that. We look forward to having some discussions, and maybe we'll have an influx of people who can't wait to join us and help with this amazing celebration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go item number 12, resolutions. And we have one resolution on the docket this evening. It's a calendar resolution concerning the establishing of legislative priorities and positions for the 2023 session of the Maryland General Assembly. And this is going to fall in the wheelhouse of the council president to introduce.
Mr. Mayor, council, citizens, make a motion to introduce a calendar resolution concerning establishing legislative priorities and positions for the 2023 session of the Maryland General Assembly.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, was seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is a calendar resolution to establish legislative priorities and positions for the 2023 session of the Maryland General Assembly. This is going to be a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the motion to introduce?
Is it just to introduce?
What's that?
It's just to introduce.
This is just introduction, yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution carries 6-0 in affirmative. Madam Secretary, can you please assign this resolution number and read the header?
This will be Resolution 2022-22, a lot of 22s in there. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland and Sections 33 and 34 of the City Charter, for establishing legislative priorities and positions for the 2023 session of the Maryland General Assembly and authorizing the mayor or designee to speak and advocate for the priorities and positions established.
Thank you very much. Council, do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-22 on
So move.
reading? Motion by Councilmember Zinner, second by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson?
Well, yeah, I have a couple amendments. So under Section 2, favorable positions, I move to add letter I to read legislation that would bolster renewable energy.
I'm sorry, what page you on, sir?
Page 2, under Section 2, favorable positions. I move to add the letter I and have that state legislation that would bolster renewable energy.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, I have a amendment proposed by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by the Council President, which would create a letter I under Section 2 of favorable positions to legislation that would bolster renewable energy, correct?
Roger.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, so say nay. Council Member Robertson's amendment carries. Is that captured? We got that captured? Okay, thank you. Sir.
I got one more for you. So HIJ, so I move to add the letter J and have that read legislation that would assist in and or fund dredging of Conowingo. So legislation that would assist in and or fund dredging of Conowingo.
Okay.
Can we be more, I'm sorry.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson to propose item J, which would legislation that would assist funding of dredging of Conowingo.
I second.
Seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments? Council President.
Could we be more specific in what we're asking for specifically, the area north of the dam?
Well, it would be, yeah, the
The
removal of sediment from behind the dam. So how would you like that worded, Council President?
So what did you write? So legislation that would advocate, how did you state
I
it?
said assist in and or fund dredging of Conowingo, but we can change that any way you like.
Just after the word dredging, if we could just be more specific and say of the sediment at the Conowingo Dam.
Yeah, I accept that.
Is a friendly amendment?
Yep.
Sorry. No, sorry.
Councilmember Martin.
When we're working on this one, I think we have time between now and moving forward that we could, because the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and MACO have been working on some of this, so there may be something that we could look at by talking to them that would clarify and actually kind of support their position. It was about the dredging, the fact that they were dredging 5 miles upstream from the dam, and that water, or the sludge that was removed was being taken to a facility in Cecil County for evaluation. So there is some pieces out there that we may want to try to work with the other two organizations to see if what we're doing is actually in support of their agenda, which was, again, reducing sediment and removal behind the dam.
Yeah, Councilman Martin, not to spend too much time on this, but last year there was a preliminary test done with 1,000 pounds, 1,000 tons, whatever. It equaled out to 100 truckloads being pulled out from behind the dam, and yeah, they're testing and stuff. I'm just trying to say that we support the state's effort in that. So, you know, we can always follow up at some further point in time if there's anything specific that comes out.
So if anything does come out of Annapolis that deals with the dredging of Conowingo Dam,
Right,
that we
yeah.
we unilaterally support it, but then we'll get into the details.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so,
Including the environmental cleaning of the stuff up there. My concern, I apologize if it wasn't recognized, they're dredging so far north, what they're doing is they're stirring up even more, and it has little impact on the sediment down here, and it's actually causing more sediment to come downriver, and it's causing more of the toxins that are actually settled out throughout the years coming down. I'd like to see what's coming from MML, specifically on, you know, not just the dredging, but the environmental rehab.
So then would it make more sense to add this in section 4 under discretionary positions? So that we give the mayor leeway to speak on behalf of the city if and when legislation comes up that makes sense.
That's fine.
I think that would, yeah.
All right, so then I strike my motion for letter J under section 2.
okay, motion striked. Is
Withdraw
that
my
okay,
second.
Council
Withdraw my
President?
second, yep.
Okay, seconded, withdrawn, and motion struck.
And I move to add letter E, echo, under section 4, page 3, to read the same, legislation that would assist and/or fund dredging of Conowingo Dam.
Second.
Okay, council, I have a motion by Councilman Robertson, second by the council president, which would add a letter E, or item E, under section 4, discretionary positions of the assisting or funding of dredging of Conowingo Dam. Questions or comments? Councilmember Martin?
On that position, I agree, because one of the things that has been talked about was not only behind the dam, but also on this side of the dam, where none of the studies have been done, but they were proposed both in the Perryville and the Havre de Grace area. When they're removing sediment from behind the dam, that's great, but what are they causing downstream? What are they doing to impact both Cecil and Harford County? And that would be Perryville, Aberdeen, and Havre de Grace. So that was something that was brought up last year, and I believe that would give you the ability to move forward when those kind of proposals come up.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? This is for Councilmember Robertson's amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Councilmember Robertson's amendment carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Councilmember Robertson.
I'm good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, council members.
Any other further questions or comments? Okay, we're going to go back to, we're under the question. Motion to adopt was by Councilmember Zinner, second by Councilmember Robertson. This is for Calendar Resolution 2022-22. And council, with no further questions or comments, I will call roll. Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneges?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
With a roll call and 6-0 in favor, the motion to adopt Calendar Resolution 2022-22 is approved. Item 13, ordinances. This evening we have 2 ordinances. The first one's going to be for a process for establishing legislative priorities and positions, and this is going to go to the council president.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning creating a process for establishing legislative priorities and positions for first reading.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, can you please assign this ordinance a number and read the header into the record?
Yes, this will be ordinance 1082, an ordinance by the mayor and city council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11-E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for creating a process for establishing legislative priorities and positions and authorizing the mayor or designee to speak and advocate for the priorities and positions established.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, I have a motion to, Council, I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1082 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments? Council President.
This was all discussed at the work session we had the other night. You can go back and watch online and see all that and see the in-depth discussion about this. All it does is it's establishing our process for finding our legislative priorities and moving forward through the city.
Thank you very much, Council President. Councilmember Martin.
This legislation is long overdue. It actually allows the city to speak with one voice, representing everybody from this dais and the administration, as well as representing our citizens. I applaud the council for moving forward on this.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? Council will do a roll call vote on ordinance 1082 on first reading. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Council President Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shanegas.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, City Council Ordinance 1082 is adopted on first reading. Council President, when would you like to have a public hearing?
How about, what is it, the 2nd of?
September 6th?
September 6th.
Tuesday, September 6th.
Yeah, Tuesday.
7 o'clock?
What did I think it was second? Yes, 7 o'clock is perfect.
Okay, we will have a public hearing on ordinance 1082 at 7 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, September 6th. Remember, we don't have a council meeting on Monday the 5th because it's Labor Day, but we will have our council meeting on Tuesday, September 6th. Public hearing will be at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Item B under ordinances is going to be an ordinance concerning a temporary tax waiver for Habitat Humanity properties. And again, this is going to be given to the council president for introduction.
Mr. Mayor, Council, make a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning a temporary tax waiver for Habitat for Humanity properties for first reading.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the council president and seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Motion to introduce a temporary tax waiver for Habitat for Humanity properties. This is a motion to introduce. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion introduced carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, can you please assign this ordinance a number and read the header into the record?
Yes, this will be ordinance 1083, an ordinance by the mayor and city council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, to temporarily waive property taxes for certain properties owned by Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1083 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin and seconded by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments before the roll call? Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to come out and say that I do support this. We've made such a accommodation for Habitat in the past, and at times it becomes pretty expensive for them to carry the weight of the tax burden while they're building a house and while they're going through their process of choosing who applies for a home, who will be able to afford it. And again, the new owners will be responsible for taxes, will be responsible for the mortgage. Habitat's motto is a step up, not a handout, a hand up, not a handout. So I think this is a good program for them and for the city as they move forward, and it looks like they're working towards 6 new residents in the city. So I think it's an issue that will probably come up again, and as they continue to build more or rehab more properties. But I do think it's a worthwhile position. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Council President?
Thank you, sir. This is something, Habitat approached us, they were having difficulty with their funding because they're charged for taxes from the date they buy the property until they hand the keys off. So we thought that we could accommodate them and give them a maximum 18 months of tax-free without that burden, using that money going towards the homes and helping them. And this does not include the water hookup or any other taxes that they have to pay the county or state taxes. It only includes the Havre city taxes for that 18-month period at a maximum from the time they buy the property until they hand the keys off.
Thank you very much, Council President. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Council, I'm going to do a roll call on Ordinance 1083. This is for first reading and adoption. Council President Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Shanegas.
Yes.
By roll call vote, 6-0 in the affirmative. City Council Ordinance 1083 is adopted on first reading. Now, come to my attention, the previous ordinance that we just passed, which was 1082, we needed to have the public hearing on August 22nd, not September 6th, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so Council President, is that all right?
Sir, it's absolutely fine.
That is 1082, the previous one. I made a mistake on that when I proffered. Well, you made a mistake too, just with me, so I'm joking. I'm kidding. No,
August 26th, you said?
August 22nd,
22nd, okay.
which is a week from tonight. Now, with ordinance 1083 that the council just read, can that be September 6th? Or does that has to be August 22nd also?
The 22nd also.
They're both on August 22nd. All right. So, ordinance 1082 and ordinance 1083 will need to schedule the public hearing for next Monday, August 22nd.
What time, Mayor?
6 o'clock? 6 o'clock. What, issue?
So Street and Traffic Safety has a meeting on the 22nd. It's a standing meeting at 6 p.m. If we could make the meeting at 7 p.m., that would make it so that we can have, this is the third meeting that will be pushed off. Well, I'd be unable to attend and not have everybody, including our DPW director, in attendance to the meeting.
I'm okay with 7 p.m.
So part of the challenge we have administratively is getting these posted into the paper. So we had to post in the paper today at by noon. So the paper is going to say 6 p.m. for the public hearings. The reason why we're doing them on the 22nd is primarily for the first ordinance, and that was to get it passed and approved so that Mr. Rachinsky can start the process. Or typically, we would go to the next meeting.
Would you say that the meeting should last 30 minutes?
I would say the meeting would probably last 5 minutes.
Okay. So then we could change because we also post about street and traffic safety. So is that okay to change that time? So it
Yes.
starts later?
Yes, because you're not posting that into local newspapers, it's just posted online. And for this meeting, for the public hearing meeting, the director of DPW is not required to come to our meeting. So it won't interfere with him going to that meeting. I think worst case, Councilmember Boyer, you may be 5 or 10 minutes late. I suspect.
That's fine with me. It's just, again, it was a request by the chairman to constantly do this. So just putting it out there.
We understand. Thank you. Okay, sir?
I will be out of town.
All right, thanks for the heads up, Councilmember Martin. All right, we're going to go to item 14, old business. We have two items here. Item A, we have item 1 and item 2. I'm going to hand this off to the council, or Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, after these two events were passed by council, the Youth Commission, Refuel for School, and the Waterfront Festival, each of the chairs came back to the city and would like to request the use of the city stage and have that deployed. Because there was added DPW costs, we felt like we should bring that back to council for a friendly amendment. The Refuel for School costs from DPW would be increased by $1,292, and for the Waterfront Festival, they would be increased $2,208. If council's okay with that, we can accept that, I think, as a friendly amendment and move forward.
Make a motion to accept. To accept it as a friendly amendment for both festivals?
Second.
Okay, Council President and Councilmember Shenegis. Motion by Council President, second by Councilmember Shenegis to agree with the amendment to the application. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Okay, amendment to the application is approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. We're going to move on to item 15, new business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you this evening, we have the Caribbean Music Fest. The sponsoring organization is One Mind at a Time Foundation. This is a 501c3. It is not a Havre Grace 501c3. The setup would be on Sunday, the 4th of September, beginning at 11 a.m. The event is 2 to 8. Close up and clean up will be around 9. This event will take place at Concord Point Park. Anticipated attendance is about 1,000. There's a entrance fee of $25. There will be food sold on site, as will there be alcohol served on site. Several of the documents are in your packet from the event organizer. This is a part of PAL Entertainment. And I do want to indulge council for a moment because I too, this was done very quickly, and I had some concerns as well with the mapping, just for clarity's sake. So I'm going to pass around. I asked Ms. Bambi Johnson, to update the map to give council a little more clarity as to the areas that were going to be opened so that we don't have any continuing challenges with the lighthouse.
These folks need it.
So the thick red line on your map is the snow fencing. That's going to be snow fencing that's going to be installed by the event organizers, not the Department of Public Works. And then the road closures are normal. That's the sort of the pinkish line that shows about from the restrooms on Lafayette all the way over to Alliance on Concord. That'll be closed down. There's 3 entry points that'll be, they'll have their personnel at, and that'll be at the Alliance in Concord, right in front of the lighthouse at the foot of Lafayette, and then to the side, sort of rear part of the lighthouse on the shoreline side of the promenade. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. Thank you for the map. Okay, special event application, Caribbean Music Fest for September 4th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments? Council President?
In looking at the packet, the certificate of liability insurance, quite extensive, but it still lists the certificate holder as City of Aberdeen. City of Aberdeen is listed as the liability insurance holder. Do we know if it's been updated for Havre to even to hold the event here?
No, sir. Yes, it is. Well, we don't have a copy. Okay. You'll give it to her first thing tomorrow morning? Okay. Yeah. So we don't have it.
Any other questions or comments?
You have any questions?
Councilman Robertson?
Yeah, you got to turn to the right, Mr. Mayor. I'm just kind of curious how the PD was calculated here. If somebody could speak to that.
I'm actually probably going to ask the same question because it looks like it's calculated off the original, what I think is calculated off of a two-day event. But everything I've heard at this point, if it's my understanding, is this is only a one-day event. Is that correct? And I asked that question back because the map actually says 2 days on it on the original copy. And so if it's only a one-day event, then there probably does need to be a revision on the exact number of hours for the PD cost. It looks like, from what you're reading, Councilman, is that it was originally based off of 30 hours, which I'm guessing strictly, this didn't go through my desk, so I shouldn't say guessing, but I'm assuming that that was based off of the original 2 days is what this looks like it was calculated off of.
Okay, so, I mean, we should expect probably half of what's sitting here as PD costs. I'm not terribly sure how, 115 times 30 equals 5175 anyway. But anyway, that's an aside. My only rub is that, it's been precedence that, in order to have an event at a park, it's got to be a city sponsored by a city nonprofit. And there are exceptions to that, being like the 5Ks, where we typically would charge a fee for that. But if the organization's already willing to pay for the police expenses, then, I see no issue.
Police and DPW? Total cost.
Yeah, if it's total cost, then yeah, that's fine too. What's another $253? But yeah, in the future, this is a last minute thing. It's a last minute change. I get that. In the future, it'd be good to maybe come and maybe do both days here and get with the Havre de Grace nonprofit. Yeah. All right. Well, one thing Havre de Grace is not short of is nonprofits that need additional funding. So, yeah, well, we can definitely hook you up with that. And Bambi Johnson should know too, so she can hook you up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Councilmember Robertson, you definitely hit the nail on the head. It is usually the practice of the city to approve such a large venue event in our parks and services to a local nonprofit. Or even if that local nonprofit used a for-profit event to help them raise revenue. There are cases, and I think of the Susquehanna Seafood Festival that takes place in February, which is a for-profit promoter, but we hold their feet to the fire that they have to benefit local nonprofits and involve them. So I'm just saying, this is very last minute. We are a arts and culture community. A Caribbean Fest sounds good. But if we set a precedence here, I'm just saying be careful, because other nonprofits could come in that don't have a local nonprofit that they're sponsoring. And so I just want to caution here, not that, it's a tricky one here. That's all I'm saying.
Tough.
That's all I'm going to say. But go ahead. Other further questions or comments?
Is it possible to add a Havre de Grace nonprofit to this event?
Bring her to the mic. Bring her to the mic if she's going to talk.
Would you mind coming up to the microphone again?
Yes, I want to, because I'm part of the Route 40 Business Association. You heard of them, right, of course. So just to let you know, not only do I do power entertainment, but I am president of 24-hour Dependable Medical Supplies located in Bell Camp. We moved from Middle River. We was down there for 13 years. But as I moved towards retirement, I'm 54 years old, and as I moved towards retirement, I wanted to be closer, especially when I handed over to my wonderful kids who have been with me 15 years in that business. But I wanted to do something else, especially helping my husband. He loves music. He has a love for music. He has a love for helping people. You know, they survived a Category 5 hurricane back in 17. And I just learned so much from him going over there visiting his family. And they was out electricity for 4 months in a row. And I just want to help him. But I do want to give back to Havre Grace. So if I could switch them out, because they was just referrals to me, and I can put in a Havre Grace 501(c) and give that donation to them, I would love to do that. But I have to have proof. My county firm said we have to have proof, like an IRS letter showing that they are a 501(c).
So would you entertain an amendment, or can we amend the approval motion?
Yeah, we can amend it.
So I make a motion that we approve this event under the following conditions. Number one, that the group partners with a Havre de Grace local nonprofit. Number two, that the certificate of insurance is provided to the city with
Oh yeah, I'm going to give that tomorrow. I already have it
city
done.
properly named. And that would be my only two conditions. I mean, if those things happen, you know, I'm fine with it. You can add that too if you like.
I didn't hear what.
Well, hold on, hold on one second. We have a motion by Councilmember Robertson that I have to address. So your two motions were that they, on condition that they have a local nonprofit, and that certificate assurance is squared away, right?
Correct.
I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Martin. Now we're under a question of Councilmember Robertson's motion. Anybody wants to amend it, add to it, discuss it? Councilmember Boyer?
I'd like to add Amendment R to the motion that it will include payment for the costs for the police and DPW.
I think that would only be in the case that a local nonprofit's not found, correct? Because we don't typically charge.
Correct.
Even though I'm willing to pay it because it's last minute, I am willing to pay it.
Well, we're not going to turn
You don't
away
have
free
to.
money, I mean, you know. But no, because typically if you, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, am I allowed to speak?
Go ahead, run the question.
You know, typically, if the thought from, I think, the city's perspective, and anyone can correct me if I'm mistaken, but, you know, if you're partnering with a nonprofit, then the city provides some in-kind contributions to an event that happens.
Okay.
I was only concerned with, you know, the fee for payment for police and DPW if it weren't a local nonprofit. But if it's a local nonprofit, I would much prefer that revenue go to our local nonprofits.
Okay.
And I wouldn't beat you up about the you know, city and DPW. So I don't know if I'm alone in that thought process, but. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I have under the question here. We have motion by Councilman Robertson, second by Councilman Martin. We still just have two amendments, right? Which is the insurance and the local nonprofit requirement.
Yeah, that's my two amendments, and I think we could, you know, add some other verbiage to an additional amendment to the amendment. So just those two right now, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, what? Oh,
I have a question.
oh, sure, go ahead, Councilmember.
Mr. Gamatoria, is it possible that instead of basically trying to shop around for a nonprofit, we could direct them to special projects as the nonprofit? For the
To community
donation?
projects?
Community.
I think probably what we can do is have Ms. Johnson get with the leadership and give them a number of nonprofits and let them select. I think one of the, if I may, one other kind of when we're talking about the nonprofits, I guess the question I have, generally speaking, is if we're going to shift to to donating to a nonprofit, what, is there a specific percentage, or is there going to be, yeah, I mean, I would like to know if we're going to forego the costs of DPW and PD, which is about, well, if we adjust the PD, probably around $3,500, and you're willing to pay that, I would much rather see a larger percentage go to a nonprofit, especially if it's a Havre de Grace nonprofit. So I think one thing we failed to do with when we look overall at some of these event sponsorships is, what does that really mean? What is the amount that the nonprofit is really going to see? Is it 15% of net, or is it? That's what I'm sort of losing, the fact that we're going to pull in a Havre de Grace nonprofit. Are they going to get $10? Are they going to get $1,000? Is there any guarantee?
Oh, yes, that's definitely guaranteed. Like, so after you pay, you know, the cost of the hotel, we partnered with, what is it, Holiday Inn Express. We looked for one in Havre de Grace, but we couldn't find one, of course, so we went to Holiday Inn Express to bring the bands here.
I understand, so it's net expenses.
So after expenses too,
Right.
yes, 25%.
25% of the net will go to the nonprofit?
Right.
Okay.
That's substantial, I think. But that's a really great point, Steve, because some of these events cost $15,000 in police and DPW, and we really don't know what the benefit is to the local nonprofits. We should have a conversation on that aside.
And one other thing, if I can, Mr. Mayor, and I know Councilmember Robertson and I had a discussion a week or so ago. We're at the final stages of getting the fee schedule out for comment. And one of the things within the fee schedule was this very item, where we currently have it for profit versus nonprofit using facilities for races. But overall, with use of public facilities that are not typically a nonprofit, we actually added a couple of line items in there to capture that, where there would be a specific fee for those type of things.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Gambatory. We're still under the question for Councilmember Robertson's amendment, correct?
I believe so, Mr.
We haven't voted on it yet.
No, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Councilmember Robertson's amendment carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Other questions or comments? Councilmember Martin.
Mr. Mayor and Council, my only concern is we're negotiating at the last minute. We're setting precedents at this council meeting to allow groups to come in before us. And as you said, I think it could be a very slippery slope when we're talking about the timeline that we've originally established for these to go forward, these events to go forward. And now at the last second, we're going to allow these things to happen. I'm a little leery of moving forward with this.
Thank you, thank you, Councilmember Martin. Council President.
I got to say, I really want the event here. I really do. But there's so many red flags that are coming up, that sort of issues that make me question that could be resolved by the longer timeline. And that's why we require people like the Seafood Festival was put in, what, April? Those are things that can get resolved. We can't resolve these issues in the meantime between now and the next council meeting, because the event happens. And that's why I have severe issues, and let alone, well, we require our city staff to work Labor Day weekend. That's a weekend that we traditionally keep open, because the following weekend really starts our season for festivals. And, you know, is it fair to the residents down there off of Young Street and Concord to, you know, they bought the house there, and they're going to have amplified music all day. They know that the festival season's coming up, and we're really, you know, stretching here for just trying to shoehorn something in that on such a short time. And I'm sorry, I'm a no vote. I'm sorry.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Zinner.
Yeah, okay, one thing I do want to get a clarification on, and it's not about the festival itself. Councilmember Robinson, Seroptimist is a nonprofit. It benefits Havre de Grace nonprofit, but they pay all of their expenses. They don't, they usually don't need police, but they do, but they do all their cleanup and their setup and things like that. They provide their own help for traffic control and things like that. So it's not always where, I don't believe that it's always where the nonprofit doesn't pay. Every nonprofit that benefits the city doesn't always not have the benefit of the city covering every expense. So that's just one thing that I wanted to clarify. The other thing is, I guess I understand what you're saying is about how rushed this is, but the other thing that I think we can look to is consideration of the expense, and I think the city would benefit from this musical festival. It's different than anything that we've had in the past. If they can guarantee that a city nonprofit would benefit, if they're willing again to cover the expenses and get what we're asking for in terms of the insurance certificate, I think some of the concerns are definitely mitigated at this point. And I understand about Labor Day too. I mean, people would like that holiday off, but if it's only a limited number of security.
Yeah, it's the day before Labor Day. It's not on Labor Day.
It's the weekend. It's
the
weekend, so it
weekend.
gives
Okay.
people a long weekend.
Right.
But I just think that in the sense of being a good neighbor, to take a look at the expense, the time allotted for people to get here, plans that have already been made, that I'm not asking people to look away. I'm just asking people to consider what we've asked for, what's been promised to us, and that I think it will benefit the city in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson.
Just two quick things. Number one, I do think it's interesting, it's unique, it's new, and it's different, and will definitely promote tourism in Havre de Grace. And number two is, Jim, if you vote no, I better not see you down there. No, I'm just kidding, man.
Hey, can I say
Well,
one
well
thing
said,
to
Councilman Robertson.
maybe make you feel comfortable? Also, remember, it's emergency for me because they mixed our dates up down for that Sunday at Aberdeen Festival Park, so I didn't know. So I called my association, and then that's when she told me to talk to one of the ladies there, and she, from Aberdeen Festival Park, referred me here and told me that I would have to come to this meeting and all that. So it's sort of like emergency because we didn't already book them bands, and it'd just be a total loss if we can't. Ain't nothing, I tried with American Airlines, and they said they can't.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Shenanigans.
Have you considered talking to Hopkins Farm? They do a lot of events outdoors.
I don't know where that's at.
It's located on the outskirts of Havre de Grace, off of I-55, or the 155.
Yeah, but, I live here.
It is in Havre de Grace.
It's in Havre de Grace.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But, Mr. Lastman, I ain't got but 2 weeks now, like 2.5 weeks. And I, had called other places, but they Aberdeen Festival said, wait till do I come to this meeting and try at this point. I know now, well, sure won't go through this next year, you better believe it. It's been a nightmare for me, but the person who was involved no longer works there, and that was George. He moved to Florida, and he mixed up the dates, and nothing they can do.
Always blame it on George. It's George's fault.
But that's what they said, so that's what they said. So.
Okay. Thank you. Council President.
We had offered the Star Center with that scheduling fee, and it is open that weekend. Are you guys adverse to using that?
Where is that at?
Right across the street. The old auditorium. You can have indoor, outdoor, food trucks. We have a stage. We have a normal.
Yeah, but the reason why, because you know we was bringing bands over from St. John's, Virgin Islands, and we got people coming from, you know, the community, Aberdeen. My business association is helping me, who's within Harford County, and we wanted that outdoor setting, you know, to make it feel with the Caribbean music. I mean, look up all the bands. Look up Cool Session Brass. They've been coming back and forth to the United States, Florida, and all them for several years. You got the jam band, and then you got the RVP band, which I got married at Swan Harbor, and they came here and played back in 2019. I got married there August 2019 at Swan Harbor, and RVB band came, and everybody's, you know, said that they liked that I invited from the community, you know, Fields of Rockland where I live at. They like that, you know, that outdoor, so that's why we wanted to have it here. I mean, nothing beats a failure but a try, but that was my reason, because we done been there, and we had the meeting with the Havre Grace Police Department, and he went over everything with, and he agreed to everything. He said the last thing is you all.
Thank you very much, Council President. We're going to go ahead and vote on this application. Given the discussion on this, what I'll do is I'll do a roll call vote. This is for the approval of the Caribbean Music Fest for September 4th, 2022. Councilmember Robertson?
Aye.
Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin?
No.
Council President Ringstocker?
No.
Councilmember Shanegas?
No.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
The roll call vote of 3-3, motion to approve the event fails. It's a tie vote. Sorry. I would suggest in the future a well-planned ahead event. We would welcome a Caribbean festival.
Okay.
But it's not. It won't be approved for Labor Day weekend. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
If you do want to say, ma'am, we can give you contact information for Hopkins.
Okay.
Because they are just on the other side of Paradise from you.
Okay.
And they do have a large outdoor event where they do things like this. So it's not a failure yet. Okay, we can give you some contact information. There's also Stepping Stone. You mentioned Swan Harbor. We could reach out places like that. It's just the burden on the city is not something we're willing to take on right now.
Okay.
All right?
Thank
So
you.
if you stay afterwards, contact us or contact the city tomorrow. We can get you that information.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
We're going to go to item number 16, Director's Report. We're going to start with the Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatori. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple quick items. One is just a reminder to everyone, the Farmers Market is every Saturday, 8:30 till noon at 100 St. John Street. We've been doing having some good amount of vendors and a very good turnout, so I'd like to keep that moving. On September 9th and 10th will be the Havre Grace Waterfront Festival. This will be a 2-day event. It'll start on Friday at 5 p.m. With a boat parade around dark. Saturday will be from 1 to 7, and we'll wrap up the evening with fireworks shot off from Concord Point. And then lastly, Mayor and Council, a fairly new organization within community projects. It's called the Cemetery Preservation Committee. It was sort of spun off after discussions about Angel Hill and some of the other cemeteries here in the city. It's chaired by Reg Bishop. They're having their first event coming up. It'll be on Friday, August the 19th at the Community Center from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's a workshop on cemetery preservation. And they have a full listing of all the historic cemeteries here in the city. And it's a workshop through the state of Maryland where they share different methods in which to preserve tombstones and make identification on some that are difficult to read. And this group is just sort of a fledgling group. This is their really first activity. And we hope that anyone that has any interest in our local cemeteries, because there is, after all, a lot of history there, would come out. And that's, again, on Friday the 19th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the community center. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatoria. Appreciate the update. We're going to go to our Director of Planning, Mr. Tim Boursier.
Good evening, everybody. We kicked off our comprehensive plan last week with a workshop with all of you, as you know. We'll be doing that with the Planning Commission on our second meeting in September. We don't exactly have a date yet, but we will announce that once we have that. We discussed a little bit with you at that time the Story Maps program we're using to help gain public input. That'll be launched by September 1st, and we'll also get that information out there so we can start getting input from the public. We're working to create a web page for that so everything's accessible and ready to go for the public to get information. We also are starting to put together a working group for the redevelopment at the hospital. We're at the very beginning stages of that. After the meeting that Mr. Gamatoria had just mentioned, the Harford County Historic Commission will be coming and meeting with me so we can start discussing how we can work on designs and things in the zoning to help maintain that historic community once redevelopment occurs. And lastly, I'm beginning to meet with some of the landlords in town with long-term about the long-term rental ordinance. I had a meeting today. I have another one tomorrow, and we're starting to get information together from some of those major landlords in town that own a lot of the rental properties, and we'll be sharing that with council as we get more information in.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Tim? Appreciate the update. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mrs. Johnson, Director of Economic Development and Tourism. How goes it?
Good. Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens at home. A couple of updates. I appreciate the Independence Day Commission PowerPoint presentation tonight and the mention of the pedestrian counters. We will be seeking additional funding for the grant round in January from the Lower Susquehanna Greenway Association. We received the grant this year, and that's how we paid for the pedestrian counters that we have. We intend to write for 6 additional counters, and they will go along our parade routes in Tidings Park, so we can have a good estimate number of people that were in town and not have to try to guess how many people attended our events. On August 22nd, next Monday, myself and the Main Street manager will be hosting the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development in the downtown Main Street district. They would like to visit the State Theater. We have a grant in to assist that establishment with a sprinkler system. So the state would like to come inspect, do a before and after before awarding or not awarding that grant to that establishment. So that will take place on Monday, August 22nd. If anyone is interested, please let me know. The Harford County Arts Week is celebrated September 10th through the 18th. Our department, which of course includes tourism, will partner with the Arts Collective, and we are planning a tour of our public art venues and murals. The Tourism Advisory Board meets this Wednesday, August 17th, here in Council Chambers at 10 a.m. The Economic Development Advisory Board normally meets on the same day at 4 o'clock. We are not meeting during the month of August, but we'll kick off again during the month of September. Scott Elliott is the new chair of the Economic Development Advisory Board. He has some good plans and priorities coming up this session, and one of them is to work with the board of the Chesapeake Heritage Conservancy. They are trying to bring the skipjack Martha Lewis back to Havre Grace. They have contacted us, and that will be one of our first projects in assisting them. The Explore Havre Grace website will be under construction starting in 3 weeks. It'll probably take us a month or 2 to get the new one up and running, but we're looking forward to that project as well. And last, the Havre Grace Colored School Museum held their 5th annual Arts, Wine, and Jazz Festival this weekend. I mentioned this, I'm sure other people will as well, but this event was picked up by Fox 45 Morning News, Fox 45 Good Day Baltimore, and WJZ 13. The festival was wonderful. I was in attendance, and beyond the festival as well, the backdrop from the lighthouse Lock House, showed Havre Grace, our waterfront, our citizens in other areas of the city of Havre Grace. So I will be sharing those videos via social media, but it was a great event, and it really highlighted the city of Havre Grace. So if there are not any questions, I'm finished.
Council, any questions for Ms. Johnson? Thank you so much for the detailed report. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great stuff going on. Thank you. We're going to go to our Director of Finance, Mr. George DeHorty. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens both here and at home. One announcement, the independent auditors will be arriving on the 29th of this month to start kicking tires. And they should be here for that week, and then everything beyond that hopefully will be done via email and carrier pigeon. And now in terms of the current condition of the funds, the general fund is sitting at just over $10.5 million. It's increased almost $9.2 million for the year. Revenues have been $11.6 million, of which your real property taxes make up almost $9.5 million, and grants make up $1.8 million of that amount. Expenses year to date have been a little over $2.4 million, primarily payroll for all the departments at $1.7 million, followed by insurance, just under $140,000, and then our first quarterly contributions to emergency services, which is just over $110,000, excuse me. The water sewer fund, 9. The fund balance is sitting at just under $1.5 million. It's increased almost $980,000 year to date. Revenues have been $1.6 million, of which the basic metered service charges and sewer fee, water and sewer fees is just under $1.4 million of that. The expenses have been a little over $630,000, primarily again payroll of $440,000 and insurance of $130,000. Capital revenues have been just under $220,000 for the year, with the infrastructure fees accounting for about $150,000 of that. Capital spending and debt service spending has been $230,000, of which the debt service has made up almost $200,000 of that. The Marina Fund is sitting at a fund balance of just over $1 million, a slight decrease of about $30,000 year to date, which is not unusual because most of the revenue billing doesn't go out until October and November. So you get that same spiel from me every year, but I just want to remind you it's most expenses this time of year. The revenues have been $64,000 year to date, led by fuel sales of just under $50,000. Expenses to date have been $90,000, with fuel purchases being almost $45,000, almost half of it, and payroll being $25,000 year to date, and insurance $20,000. And those are the high points of the 3 major funds. I'll take any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Mr. Horty. Council, any questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Horty, thank you very much. We're going to move on to Director of Public Works, Mr. Merlizer.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council members. A few high-interest items I'd like to report. First, the next phase of the Living Shoreline is from Gene Roberts Park northward. The city announced an invitation to bid for a new boat ramp, bulkhead, floating pier, and a parking lot on Water Street. Bids were due last Friday, and we received 2 bids. Both bids are in review by the city and the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. I will update you as we progress through the procurement process and permit process. Next, there was a work session held last Thursday regarding our city's proposed stormwater drainage project on Chesapeake Drive and Giles Street. Tim Whitty led a discussion that highlighted the benefits of residents supporting the city's stormwater management efforts to improve the drainage ditch behind the residents' home and ease flooding. The goal of the project is to create a cascading step pools to prevent untreated stormwater and debris from flowing directly into the Chesapeake Bay. This project is similar to the successful stormwater mitigation project that has significantly improved flooding conditions near David Craig Park. DPW performed emergency water main repairs along State Highway 155. We are working closely with the State Highway Administration to ensure 155 gets repaved and state funding in a timely manner. The new sewer line on Wilson Street is approximately 70% complete. And lastly, I want to publicly thank our stormwater management coordinator, Brad Burnham, who led a significant portion of our in-house state MS4 reports and stormwater management programs for over 4 years. Brad is leaving our administration to accept a new promotion in another city, and he will be missed. I'll open up for any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions? Question? Appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Captain Alton. How's the police department doing?
Things are good, Mayor. Thank you. Good evening to you, sir, and members of council. Just two quick updates. This week, on Wednesday, August the 17th, myself and Chief Walter will be participating with the, and I'm going to read his large title, but it's Havre County Public Schools Parent Academy Public Safety Virtual Town Hall Meeting. It's a big one, but nonetheless, it's this Wednesday, 6 to 7 p.m. The event will actually be live streamed on Hartford TV's Facebook page. The community is asked that if they wish to submit questions, there is the Parent Academy at hcps.org email address, or you can log on to the public schools website, and there's a link on there as well. And then lastly, this coming Saturday, also in the Bully Rock community, we will be participating with the first ever children's public safety event that they are hosting. And Sergeant Petz will be conducting a personal presentation in regards to specific youth and criminal dangers that they may be faced with in today's environment. And I just mentioned that in regards to that, obviously we were asked by the Bully Rock community, but we want to let everyone know that every community in Havre de Grace, if they'd like us to do presentations of that nature, simply reach out to our community policing group and we will be more than happy to put something together and come out and put a presentation together.
Thank you very much, Captain. Any questions for Captain Alton? Councilmember Shenanigans.
What time is the presentation, please?
The, which one? I'm sorry.
The public safety that
For
Officer
the Bully Rock
Petz.
one is the 20th from 10 to 12.
10 to 12. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Captain.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go to item 17, business from the mayor's office. Couple quick updates. The Sergeant Alfred Hilton Memorial that is supposed to be installed at the David Craig Overlook. The memorial is slated to be delivered and placed sometime mid-September with an unveiling scheduled for November 4th. So you'll be hearing more about it, but we did kind of like a ribbon cutting ceremony for it not too long ago, but it's coming. And just wanted to update everybody with that. Our trolley keeps rolling pretty well. Just this past weekend, August 12th, 13th, and 14th, we had all 4 trolleys running, 122 loops, 427 miles, 841 passengers, and knock on wood, no incidents. So we're very happy with the program, and we have great drivers that we call ambassadors. Our drivers are not just trained to drive a trolley, but they also know a lot about Havre de Grace. So you hop on the trolley, they're free, and enjoy a ride around the city, whether you live here or just visiting, and ask a trolley driver to tell you something interesting about the city. I guarantee you they'll be happy to. I want to thank Council President Ringsocker for filling in for me last 2 weeks of July and last council meeting. My wife and I did something with some friends of ours that we normally don't ever do. It's called going on vacation. So, and anyway, it's a new fad. Everybody's doing it. So I figured I'd go on vacation too. So we left and went away for a little while. And the way the charter rolls is in absence of the mayor, the council president is acting mayor. So I came back and the city seemed to be in one shape, and thank you very much for taking care of the city for us.
Nothing burned down, sir.
Nothing burned down. Okay, great. Fantastic. No, you did a great job, and thank you for running the council meeting in my absence. It's only the second meeting I missed in 14 years, so I'm not trying to let anybody think I'm quitting. Just letting you know, they just, not starting a trend here. But I just gratefully thank anyone who steps in and fills in and keeps things running. Thank you, Council, for working with Council President Ringsager. But one other thing I wanted to say before I hand this off, and this is my first meeting back since the primary elections, is Havre County went to the polls on July 19th, and they voted for a variety of offices, county council and state positions, federal positions. And a lot of changes took place. Some things became a lot more clear of what's going to happen in November. For District 34A, it's a proposition in which you can, we have 2 people that serve us in 34A. So what happens is, however many Democrats run in the primaries and however many Republicans run in primaries for 34A, they take the top 2 vote getters, and those top 2 vote getters run in November, and then the top 2 vote getters of the 4 vote getters become our representatives. Very happy that our chief was one of the top 2 vote getters, but actually, and that, I wish the chief well and hope she comes in first place in November. But I'm here actually tonight to talk about the man to my right, who I couldn't be more proud of, Councilmember Dave Martin, who was one of the people that one of the candidates that ran for delegate, but came in 3rd. And I've served with Councilmember Martin for 7 years. He came with me in 2015 when I got elected to this seat. It's been an honor and a privilege, and kind of shocked and surprised at the result, because I just want to tell people, at the end of the day, you always get the democracy you deserve, and it's the people's choice. But Councilmember Martin, please don't let anything ever take away from the honor that I have to sit here and serve with you. I respect you more than most people I know. You're a man of great integrity. I knew that if you went down to Annapolis, that you would be unyielding, that you would not compromise, that your integrity is amazing, that you would deliver the message of the people you represent, because I've seen you do that here in the city of Havre de Grace. And like I say, people who know me and know me well, I don't vote for the party, I vote for the person. I learned one thing in 14 years of being in public office, is that you're never going to agree with everybody 100% of the time. That's impossible. But what you really want, and what you really, really, really want at the end of the day, and especially in this mess of a world we have in partisan politics, you just want someone to be honest and work hard, and it's going to give you the best answer they can give you, and that's there for the right reasons. And Councilmember Martin, I want to shake your hand for having the courage to want to run for a higher office to represent the people of our district, because I know you serve on the MML liaison for us, and you do a hell of a job with it. I want to thank you, and I'm going to give you the applause, sir. I appreciate you doing it. Thank you. It takes a lot of courage to do that, sir. Thank you very much. With that, I conclude my comments, and we're going to go to Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things to let you all know about. The Cultural Exchange Commission will have a meeting on the 16th of August at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. That's tomorrow. We will be focusing on the visit by the Twinning Association of Mumbles, and that is scheduled for the 29th of September to the 5th of August. So we're going to it's going to nail down and finalize the plans for what's going to happen when they're here to visit us. I want to thank Sue Nappy for coming forward and volunteering to be on the Street and Traffic Advisory Committee. Our next meeting will be on the 22nd, 6-ish, and really look forward to having you and your voice and perspective from Bully Rock. The Green Team, I want to tell you all about some great things happening with the Green Team. The Victory Garden, so far, this is an amazing program. It provides Green Team members work in the Victory Garden. They tend to the garden, raise the vegetables and a couple fruits, and give it to local food banks within Havre de Grace. So far, the total amount of pounds donated is 745 pounds of food They have a goal of getting to 1,500 this year, which is absolutely amazing that that's grown by people in Havre de Grace for people who are in need in Havre de Grace. I also want to let you all know that the Green Team is going to be having a farm tour. It's the Think Green, Eat Green committee, and it's at the Third Way Farm in Havre de Grace on the 29th of August from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. And that address is 601 Robin Hood Road. So that's a good opportunity to get out and see, maybe get some ideas on ways to organically grow your own food, ways to use the food within your own diet. But all this kind of goes together of people within Havre de Grace working together to provide healthy options for others. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. Again, I want to thank the Independence Commission Chair and Co-Chair for their presentation this evening and the dedication that they provide to this event 12 months out of the year. And if there were 13 months, they would be doing 13 months as well, I think. I'm registered and plan to attend the Cemetery Preservation Workshop this Friday. I'm looking forward to that. There will also be members from the Historic Preservation Commission who will be attending. And I want to thank Tim Whitty, Stephanie Noy, and Underwood for their presentation to the residents of Giles, Commerce, and Chesapeake Drive regarding their plans for controlling the water runoff from bad weather on those streets. It was well attended. The Q&A was interesting, and I think that the homeowners left with a good understanding of expectations. And now it's a question of securing the funds and looking for some of the grant money. And that is all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. Couple things. Number one is refuel for school is August 27th from 3 to 7 down by the lighthouse. That's Concord Point Park. Again, refuel for school. That's put on by the Youth Commission. There's city organizations, a back to school supply giveaway. There's going to be a couple of youth groups that are doing music and stuff, inflatables, food, all that good stuff. Free event, so bring your family, come on down. Budget and Finance Committee will be meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, at 4 p.m. in the large conference room, if that's all right with everybody. North, south, east, west. Yeah, all right. So large conference room here at City Hall. On Saturday, I had the opportunity to read to some young kids at the Cultural Center at the Opera House for their event, and Fables was the theme, and I got to pick my own book. So I picked an excerpt from a collection of American tall tales, and I was really surprised that the number of kids in my group, they were third grade to 7th grade is who I was reading to, and only one child in that group heard of what an American tall tale was. So it was cool that I got to share that with them a little bit. I left them a copy of the book, and I read about Paul Bunyan, which speaks to my heart, being a rather large individual. So that was cool, and then booked it on down for the 5th annual Wine and Jazz Festival put on by the Colored School. And I've been there a couple of years, including the first year, and it has grown exponentially because, it used to be you get there and you could kind of move about a little bit, and by the time we got there, now we got there late because I had the reading thing, but, it was packed. We couldn't even find a place to set up our chairs. It was really difficult. So that was good for them. I think Beth Merchant played a role in doing the ticketing for them and all. So, kudos to her on what she's doing for a lot of these nonprofits in Havre de Grace. That was awesome. And I think that's all I'm going to report tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Good evening from Councilmember Shanegas.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Administration, folks in the audience and at home. It's wonderful to hear about all the events that are taking place in Havre de Grace. Even if you can't attend them, you can hear them, like you can hear the jazz from the jazz festival. And, it tempts you to come on by and see what's going on. I had other events going on, and I had about a half hour of my time, and I went in and I gave my donation for entrance, and I saw at the festival, everyone was just having a great time enjoying the food, and it was very full, but everyone had nice seats. They brought their own chairs, and it was just great to see people peacefully enjoying the music and the food and the fellowship. So that's great to see that event happening the 5th year, and it was my first time attending, so I will go again next year. I would also like to remind everyone, as the summer's winding down, that the Ambulance Corps is still having their Sunday Fun Day food truck event from 4 to 7 on Sunday. This year, or this month, it's going to be the 21st. So please come out and support them. It's a nice way to, wind down the weekend and get involved with supporting our ambulance corps that does an amazing job helping our city. I would also like to recommend that if you have elementary through high school kids to attend the Refuel for School event. I know that it's an important time with everyone going back to school. The rush of summer and the joy and kind of, we have to go back to school. It's exciting, and also it can be tiring. So I recommend you refuel your body and soul. Get a little bit of sleep, a little extra sleep each night, kind of gear down, staying up and getting up and rising and shining, so you will be refueled to start your school year. So I wish you all a wonderful upcoming week, and want to say thank you to everyone for being here tonight. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenegis. And business from Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President, Council, guests in the audience, and also those at home. First, I want to thank you very much for those kind words. I appreciate them. It's nice to hear. Second, Sue Nappy, thank you very much for coming on board. We hear about our volunteers. We had the Independence Day Commission ask for more volunteers. So we know this city runs on volunteers and volunteer organizations. We heard from Councilmember Boyer about the Green Team and the efforts they're doing. So you can see that the Independence Day Commission, the Green Team, the Cat Club, a lot of our volunteer organizations are always in need of more volunteers, but they're doing a fantastic job representing the city of Havre de Grace to all the guests and visitors we have. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. And we're going to go to business from Council President Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you so much. First off, I want to say thank you for coming home. I did not enjoy my time as mayor. Some might think I would have, but people ask me all the time, say, hey, you're going to run for mayor, you're going to run for this. And no, I enjoy being a legislator, so thank you. So I went, took my family canoeing yesterday, and I will say that despite all the issues we're having with Exelon, or the new parent company, and the Conowingo Dam, in my anecdotal experience, there was more seagrass in the Upper Bay than I've ever seen. Been canoeing, kayaking out there a few years, and there's quite a bit. We actually got stuck over in Furnace Bay some of the times going through the shallows trying to get back to Principio. But there's quite a bit of seagrass, and that's really good for the Upper Bay. I actually tossed a couple of crab pots out just to see if there's anything moving. And, I'd got some crabs nibbling on my bait, but I didn't catch anything. But I had trouble finding spots to put the traps that weren't in heavy seagrass. And I think that's a good thing for the Upper Bay. It's great for our duck population as well. Let's see here. So I wanted to talk about the issue we had with the event application. And, we're elected to make the hard decisions. And sometimes they're not always the most popular ones. But I was told by the mayor when I first got elected that it's our job to protect the assets of the city of Havre de Grace. And I think more importantly than that is to protect our reputation. We have other organizations that have followed the rules, that have done everything that we've asked of them to have everything, I's dotted, T's crossed. And it's unfortunate, the timeline. But they were referred to us, and we have no obligation to entertain that. But we did entertain it. We spoke about it. And I think we made the right decision, unfortunately. I did want to see the event, but I'm hoping that next year that they can come back. I'm hoping we can also help them facilitate another venue for their event, because I'd really like to see it happen. I know the time and effort and the financial costs that they've incurred, but it's just unfortunate that it's not the right fit for us to try to shoehorn that into that weekend. In addition, we haven't even asked our DPW guys if they're available to work that weekend. I'm sure we have police on staff, but to try to get the extra police officers to give up their vacation time and all the other city assets that we have to, expose for liability, I don't think it was right and proper to make those decisions at this time. So with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comments, Council President. We're going to move on to item number 19. Adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Martin.
Second.
Second by the Council President. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against it say nay. Motion to adjourn carries 5-1 in the affirmative. The time is now 9:01. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good couple weeks. We'll see you right after Labor Day.